Okay, so I hope everybody is all comfortable coming back from a long day of work. I know it's going to be, a lecture which could be very boring, but please give some of your attention to this, and then feel free to raise questions in the chat box, which probably Ranjit will time to time read out and let me know. So today's topic that was assigned to me was family life cycle stages. So I just give it a twist and talk about family life cycle approach and social work intervention. Basically, I'll be talking about family life cycle stages, and then look at what are the different interventions we could do. Okay. I'm not going to dwell on what is family and the definitions, etc. But as you understand, family has a lot of significance, whether it is sociological significance, psychosocial significance in our life. Remember that this is our bedrock. We come from family, and most of what we want to be and we do not want to be are related to the experiences we have in the family. So we could probably say that this is the first school of education and a very, very important school for that matter. So families, as you see, it's a very interesting unit for, research or for study, etc. Because family is very, very, it's an important part of one's life. So there are several ways in which, families are looked at. One of the major aspects about family is that it keeps changing along with the society. The societal structure changes and the societal influences on the family changes, then the family structure changes. So there is a very deep connection between society and the family. So the definitions of family keeps changing as our understanding and our acceptance of what family is. Okay. We have these days blended families. We have families that are made up of same-sex couple, etc. So there's a lot of variations that we see in families. And despite all this, a remarkable thing about family is its ability to retain its continuity and persistence throughout whatever changes it goes through. Okay, there are several ways to understand family. So I'm going to talk on one such approaches, that is the the developmental approach, which is otherwise known as the family life cycle approach. As I said earlier, I'm going to look at what are the different stages, what are the different things that happen in those stages, and what can be done as social workers. I'm giving it as social work because comes under the broad umbrella of social work. Now, what is this developmental life cycle of developmental approach? It's nothing but the understanding that families go through various stages, as it evolves from the beginning of the family to the end of the family. There are certain transitions, there are structured and organized progressive stages. And it looks at the individual's roles within the family and the family as a whole, its role in its developmental tasks as it moves from one stage to the other. There are a lot of criticisms of this particular approach. Still, we find it's very important to understand this because that is a reality. Families do go through stages, and while going through stages, they do encounter a lot of difficulties, lot of changes, and it's important to adjust to these changes. So some of what I'm going to talk to you today is from this is from some books which are they're a little outdated in the sense that they're older books, because older books talk about family life cycles more than the recent ones. And also from my experience, as my research topic was on this on family life cycle stages. So I'm also going to share certain things from that. Okay. So you need to understand this term when I'm going to talk about milestones. I'm going to talk about tasks, which is called the developmental tasks. Remember that tasks are nothing but the certain set of roles and activities or certain set of milestones that families have to master. Just like any one of us, when we are born, our milestone, our task is to suck. That's the first thing, no? Suckling. Then the various milestones that a child goes through. So family also has certain milestones. So those are akin to what we call the developmental tasks. And remember, families cannot meet all the tasks. They do find it difficult to meet many of the tasks, and that is where our role also is very important. We come in that interface. So now though we talked about this being a progression, progressive, structured, orderly progression of stages, there are certain life events and life experiences like divorce, unplanned pregnancies, remarriage, death, shifting from one place to another, a lot of things that happens, which can change the structure and this progression. So this also we need to keep in our mind. So here I'm going to talk in terms of normal expected progress. And then we can probably talk in terms of what happens when there is divorce and things like that. So I want you to keep this in mind. Okay, now the life cycle stages, if you look at it, I just want to throw a couple of names here. You can go back and look at it. Look at Betty and McGoldrick. They have given 7 or 6 stages of family life cycle. The other name which comes up is Evelyn Duval. She has also divided family life cycle, family stages into 8 stages. I'm going to focus on Duval's life cycle stages because that is much more connected or culturally more, a little more appropriate to the Indian culture than the Carter and McGoldrick's stages. So first, let us look at this. When we talk about the family life cycle stages, the first stage is married couple without children. So this stage begins with the marriage and then ends with pregnancy. So again, we don't know what came first, whether marriage or family came first. We are assuming that in the Indian society, marriage is something which is more acceptable. So with marriage, you have connections made, and from marriage, marital relationship, you have children. That is the premise of this. And please remember, the age of the eldest child is used for breaking the subsequent stages. Okay. So any stage requires preparations, right? It requires preparations in terms of mental, emotional, physical, and psychological, social, or sexual preparations. And there are also expectations that interplay with these preparations, and these expectations are based on personal expectations, familial expectations, societal and cultural experiences. All these influence the expectations from a family. So what are the changes per se that you see in the first stage? You look at it when two people get in a marital relationship. I think majority of the Indian marriages are still arranged marriages with probably some amount of courtship period after engagement. So whatever the whether it is a love marriage or I would like to say marriage of own choice, or an arranged marriage as what we see mostly in the Asian countries, what we see is that there are a lot of changes, and these changes are at personal level, and there are changes at the lifestyle. You know, many of the people have to make changes in the lifestyle of what they are used to, from what they're used to. That is one aspect. The other aspect is this. I'm talking about tasks, okay, primarily. So the other aspect is that the accommodating and establishing new relationships. So when you talk about new relationships, you're talking about your spouse, and you're also talking about the network that you bring in with your spouse. It is your spouse's family members, friends, and spouse's lifestyle also. I don't know how many of you, let's say I come from Kerala. So, you know, so in Kerala, most of people use red rice, right? And when you go to a place like Maharashtra or some other, you know, North Indian state, it is basically roti that is used. So imagine like a Kerala man getting married to a girl, a Malayali girl born and brought up in the north, who's used to a different kind of food altogether. And then when they come into a union, they have to now, you know, the man has no other go. He has to eat what the woman cooks. So that'd be very difficult for him. And the woman has sometimes no other go but have to change her style of, you know, cooking and her preferences to food. This I saw in my study quite a lot. So this kind of adjustments that needs to be made, which can be very traumatic for some people. It takes a long time for a few. Adjusting to the temperament of the spouse, the culture, and the values that they come from. And then, of course, decisions for pregnancy is also a kind of a task that needs to be taken, that takes place during this time. Ranjit, I'm having a lot of difficulty in moving my cursor, so this is going slow, okay?
You can use the this thing.
Let me see if...
you can use keyboard. The
Keyboard,
down arrows.
keyboard. Down arrows, keyboards.
I'll use this, okay. So, yeah, what can we do? Quickly, social work interventions, premarital counseling. Okay, that is an intervention. I'm not going to explain a lot for want of time. We can always have discussion later. This is, and after marriage, again, family life education to help partners. You know, before marriage, premarital, and post-marriage also, this can be done, and enabling partners to become aware of their strength. What strength are they bringing in? How do they complement each other? And help in minimizing or diffusing the effect of, you know, the differences. Now, through these interventions, you know, you can also increase their awareness about their expectations and what are the different domains of marriage and where do the differences lay. And if there is an impinging relocation of one partner or both partners, their changed roles, etc., it will be useful to prepare these individuals for these tasks. This is very important. And the other aspect that we could look into is, you know, there are those who deviate or digress from the routine developmental task. That is, you know, those who are single and those who would like to remain childless. This is their own choice. Then there are people who are childless because they cannot have. That's not their choice. So their needs and their issues also can be addressed at this level. Then we're going to stage 2, which is childbearing family, where you have the oldest child's birth to the child is 2.5 years old or 30 months. So remember, now you look at this from this stage on till say stage 7, you will find that we are going as per the age of the eldest child. So what happens here is the family, the couple, the husband and wife, their roles have changed. They now become from husband and wife, they become father and mother. Okay, so adjusting to this new role and preparing for to incorporate the needs of a child at every level, be it financial, physical, emotional, etc. That is one of the major tasks. And with when the child comes in, one of the things that family, many of my, especially the female respondents have told me is that they don't have time for themselves at all. They don't have time to have bath. Their routine has changed. Their sleep pattern has changed. Sometimes they can't even sleep when they want to. They're always tired, and finances is also something that really pinches them. These changes are occurred during this period, and it's important that the family makes these changes. So it is useful for families to plan and work these things out. So remember again, this is also from my finding that adjustments in personal needs is one of the major adjustments that many have spoken about. I remember one of the one man telling me that I'm very worried, I'm very concerned. Why? Because he has a female child, and now he says, madam, I have to think of a dowry, and the child was just 8 months old. Okay, so so many such this is because of the cultural expectation that they have. So the gender of the child provokes certain kind of emotions. You expected certain gender, or you wanted certain gender, and then you have a different gender. So adjusting to this changed expectations is another major task that the families have to go through. So here again, as I said, the psychiatric social worker or a clinical social worker, what can be done? Again, preparation for pregnancy, preparation for basically delivery. That is what it means. Anti and postnatal clinics can ideally, there is a lot of scope for this, though not many clinics hire us, but there is a scope here. And parenting guidance is in this stage is very effective, especially to prepare for parental stages. And here there are other atypical issues that can come up, which is infertility, careers, who will give up whose career, who's going to take the child if they are in different locations, how are they going to deal with work and the caregiving aspects. These are again issues that interventions can be given. Then you have family with preschool children. Okay, this is when the oldest child is 2.5 years to the child is 6 years of age. Now here is preschool. So now the baby is starting to learn a few things. The baby has started talking, interacting. So we need to start looking at preschool preparations and decisions based on that. And another important task is also to decide whether or not to have further pregnancies. Whether the couple want to have only one child, or they want to take this forward. Again, preparations for physical and financial preparation to accommodate the second child if they want to take that decision, that needs to be done, and to prepare the first child for the arrival or for the second child. That is also important, so that to ease the first child into accepting the his brother or his or her brother or sister. Now, adjusting to the needs of the children, or if there is only one child, needs of the child, and teaching the child to be more independent. See, when I use child, please also remember it could be children. Okay, so it's easier for me to say child. So the needs of the child needs to be taken care of in order to make them be more independent, to look after their own needs, eating, personal hygiene, etc., and preparing them for schooling. Now, one of the major issues that I found as a relationship therapist is this issue about decreased time for marital bonding. What I've also seen is many of these extramarital affairs also start around, this time where there is no time for each other, and so there is this need for some to seek each other out. And what one of the interesting thing that some of my respondents also said, especially the men said, now that my wife has had a child, she doesn't need me so much. Before having a child, she would come running when I come back from the office, sit with me, make tea. Now, once a child has come, it is all about you make your own tea, or the tea is there in the flask. You have it on your own. Okay, so this time for marital bonding is something that the couple have to work out, because invasion of privacy is one thing that you could see here. So what are the social work interventions? Parental skills training. This is parenting skills training is an important intervention. Then you have a lot of these family enrichment programs. That can be also something that be done with, where you can have to cope with the demands of life. I'm bringing in all these things because these are things probably once you leave your course and then you're wondering what are the things that I could do. These are things that you could train yourself, and then you can sell your skills based on this. You could have workshops, find a space, whether it is digital or otherwise, and see if this can be done. This is something that will be very useful. And work-life balance. Though I have written here as work-life balance, I would now like to use this term as work-life harmony. Many times it's not that perfect balance. We may not be able to split into percentages, the time between work and the family life. But it is important to find a harmony between these. So especially, this need has to be addressed. When you also have these families, IT families working from home, where you have different working hours, etc. These issues can crop up, especially when it comes to parenting. And here again, what we need to keep in mind is working with children, families of children with special needs. So here again, these children have a special need, and their developmental tasks are going to be different. So the family's developmental tasks are going to be around learning new skill sets for which are relevant and appropriate for parenting a child with special needs. Coming to families with school-going children, this is again from 6 to 13 years. Plan about the child's education, make sure that you provide their physical, emotional, as well as educational comforts, provide a kind of a congenial atmosphere for the child to grow intellectually, socially, etc. So what happens in most of the families, what they say is, I don't care about my needs anymore. It's about my child's need. So my child and his or her need is being put in the forefront. This you will see right from the time that a child is born. Here it becomes more pronounced because, like, for example, let me say, I know that Ranjit has children. So I'll say Ranjit's child has a football match that he is representing, he's a part of. And that very day, Ranjit wants to meet his friend. So whom would he go? He would obviously give preference to his child's need. So the need of individual needs tend to get blurred here, or it is in the back burner here. So what is the things that can be done? Help deal with academic expectation. This is one major issue that we keep seeing. There is a lot of expectation from the child, which is not compatible with the child's ability. So this creates a lot of issues which needs to be dealt with. Parenting skills focusing on disciplinary patterns, especially having a common ground in terms of disciplining style between the couple. This is again a reason for many couples to have frequent conflicts over. Handling lifestyle changes, as again, your children are going to question you, if you're smoking, cigarettes are going to be available. If you're drinking, drinks are going to be available. How are you going to talk to your children about these? Changing your, pattern of these kind of lifestyles need to be taken care of, and dealing with learning disability. This is again one of the things that, as I said, children with special needs, that is something that needs to be taken care of. So, so when I say all this, I also want you to understand the tasks in themselves can also be it can be stressful, it can be challenging. So if you do not, if you are not meeting up the task, then we say you're stuck in that particular phase, not able to move, freely into the next stage, because the tasks which are to be mastered in the previous stage kind of comes as a chain, that you need to keep dragging. So that itself can set you back in many ways. So the next one is families with teenagers. They say turbulent stage, where it's turbulent for the adolescents themselves. They're going through a lot of hormonal changes, physical changes, emotional changes, etc. And so the family also goes through this, this tidal waves, of changes. So here, what happens in this is, when compared to the behavioral aspect of the child, there is a much more focus on that, and the educational aspect of the child it is there, but the focus will be more on the behavior of the child, because there is going to be a lot of behavioral changes, relationship issues with the family and outside the family. Because the teenagers are now, it's like, you imagine a petal, a flower, with petals. So, you understand the centrifugal and the centripetal, Here the stages, in this stage, the child is going more towards outside, not towards inside. That is how it will be. So it's like a wide, it's away from the I don't know what it is called, the stem or the node of the flower. Okay. So this is important for parents to actually try and understand their needs and help them go through this phase. And they have to provide the kind of privacy that the child needs, and accept that the child is growing, and continue to prepare them for the next stage, that is launching out. So continue to prepare them to be independent. Many times we have, I don't know if still happens, I've seen in a lot of families where the children don't even wash their plates. They just leave it on the table and just go off. Especially, I think these days that there's no difference whether it's a male or female. But, and then everything is done for them. Many of them in this stage, they don't even know how to cook. And then we send them off to hostels, etc. And then they have a lot of trouble in adjusting to food, and then they don't know what to do with it. So it's important to understand that there is a freedom that the child needs, and there is also responsibility. So that balance between freedom and responsibility is something that the family, the parents also need to learn and teach the children. Interventions, again, preparing the families. So when I say intervention, preparing for adolescents, remember this is an interface between the previous phase and this phase. Okay. Handling teen problems, parenting skills is something that also requires attention. And here again, marital enrichment programs needs to be taken care of, because marital relationships are severely tested during this time. Not to call not to blame the adolescent, but adolescents can play up, and they can put the parents against each other. So knowingly and unknowingly, they know how to kind of, I don't want to use the word manipulation, so I'm going to look for another word, engineer the situation which would be more beneficial to them. So that can have a lot of, it can test the marital relationship, and this requires attention. I've already talked about independence. Being independent, so balancing dependence and autonomy, helping the child as well as the teenager as well as the parents to do with this, learning how to be assertive and how less to be aggressive. This is another way of, you could have preventive programs, you could have educative programs for this, for youngsters and also for the parents. And this finding rootedness in one's environment. Many of the times, this is a stage where they kind of get away and they're confused. There is an explosion of culture thanks to globalization. So it's important that, to help them find their rootedness, help them in that, finding one's identity. It's another aspect that many of the adolescents can come with. And vocational and career guidance is another major aspect here, helping them choose, again, knowing their strength and then choosing their career path. Here, another issue that we're going to see is parents saying, no, you do this, take up science stream, when the child is saying, no, I want to do arts. Everybody wants to rush into science. Nobody wants to do arts these days. So there can be a lot of, tug of war between the children and the parents in terms of where they want to. In many children, they say, let me get my 10th result, then I will decide where I want to go. But for parents, that may not be the answer that they want to hear. Now, parents as launching centers. So think of family as this, what is that called here? That swimming board, the jumping board, you'll see in the swimming pool. So the
surfing board.
It's not surfing. In the swimming pool, you will see, they stand on this board and then they jump from that, into the
diving board, diving.
Correct, diving board. Okay, so that is what family is right now. They're kind of launching the children out. I don't remember. There's one beautiful saying by Khalil Gibran, which is so important. I mean, it resonates with this stage there. He says, which I'll talk about it once I finish this particular stage. So here, what needs to be done? Mentally accept the individuation of these children. They're going to be, they're adults. They've reached adulthood. So, letting go is very important. So many times, this is also a stage where parents, especially the mothers, are unable to let go of their children, and they find it very difficult to share their children, especially the male child, with his or her partner. So there can be a lot of issues coming into this. So accepting this individuation is important, and financially, especially in our Indian setup, financially helping in the process of individuation is seen as the, what do you say? They say, in Malayalam, they say kadama, which is like a responsibility. You have to do it. It is a part of your, as a parent, you're supposed to be doing this. Okay, so that is another task, helping them in the process of individuation. And especially in the Indian setup, marriage and career decisions for children is also an important step towards accepting this individuation, because many of these children here in terms of the adult children, I would like to say, they take their own decisions of marriage, etc. So that can really be a very trying task for the family. So here again, what we also get to see in certain families is when you have age gap between your children, you could have one child who is an adult, the other is an adolescent, or a child who's say in his school going stages. It is the task of the family, the wife, the mother and the father, to actually divide their attention and attend to the tasks which are centered around the ages of other children who are in their different individual life cycle stages. So this is also a task where, again, balancing the responsibilities towards a younger child and an older child. So many times you see the family members are not able to switch this. They tend to behave with the older child in the same manner which they are behaving with the younger child. This can cause a lot of difficulty. This again is basically from my own experience in the field and my as a researcher in this topic. So long-term relationships, I told you, the marital and other long-term relationships, which can cause a lot of separation and hurt in the family. So adjusting to this and accepting this is a major decision in the family. So dealing with letting go is a major, when you come to, when you look at, when families come to you for therapy or for help, this would be one of the factors that we would say. Letting go does not mean physically letting go, okay? So when you talk about launching, the launching in a typical stage is physical launching as well. But then in the Indian setup, you see the physical launching does not happen in many families, but it is important to have that emotional launching. That's by saying emotional launching, it is not about just completely cutting off ties, but being able to share one's ties with the immediate, your primary, both, your family of orientation and your family of procreation. This becomes a major task. Then here again, this is the time when the family, also the parents also keep thinking about what have I done, where are my children, where have they reached, my children have not been able to fulfill the expectations that we've had from them. So it's very difficult for them to handle this, and many can have emotional problems. I wouldn't say mental breakdowns, but emotional problems that they deal with. So this is another issue, and helping the social work intervention can also look at balancing individual needs vis-a-vis family, individual needs vis-a-vis family needs. So this is very, very important aspect when we work with. Then you have families in middle years. This is called the empty nest to retirement. Though in this presentation, we are saying empty nest to retirement. Remember, this is also, many of my family members have said, this is spacious nest because we don't have the children and we get to do what we want to do. It is spacious. Okay, so we might not always look at these stages from a very problematic point of view. This is the stage where, active parenting has completely stopped. The active parenting keeps decreasing from the adolescent, late adolescence to adults, and now active parenting is completely stopped. It's more of a passive parenting stage. So here what they need to do is they need to start looking at alternate modes of occupying themselves. And so dealing with this emptiness is very important. Many are not able to, some are able to, and some of the couple actually look forward to this because they say, I've worked so hard for my children, they're all in some stage, now I would like to see the world. Okay, this is something that many people, if you see, many of the couples, especially the middle income family, reserve going about the world during this stage. And there's another aspect that is happening here, which is on the individual, development issues where you have failing health and changing sexual relationships. These are aspects that also needs to be accommodated with. So what do we do here? Refocusing on marital relationship. That becomes a very important task or task for us as professionals, because I've seen many couples starting to fight actively with each other, or not even talking. They don't know how to talk to each other even, because many of them, what has happened is the children have gone. Okay, mainly it is like you are the same couple with this. Now, when you are married, from the first stage, now you are without the children, you're aged. and you have had different experiences. So your marital relationship, many times the marital relationship doesn't get so much of a focus because children are there in the forefront. So many things are swept under the carpet. Now you have to keep revisiting all these differences. You know, these differences do come up. So that is why we find a lot of these dealing with these old differences through marital therapy is one intervention. Handling midlife crisis, individual midlife crisis is also something. I've had one lady telling me that, you know, I had a happier life when my husband was retired. I mean, my husband was working. Now he's retired. He's coming to the kitchen and telling me how to do things as if I don't know what to do. You know, because he really doesn't have any other things to do. So, you know, this may look very simple and small, but then these can become a problem if you already have issues with your pre-existing issues with your relationship. And this is what I said, you know, changing the perception from empty nest to spacious nest. Look at it as a spacious nest where you can have your own things to do. Here, what I want to also say is what happens during this time, especially in the Indian setup, is the couple, okay, they're in the retirement stage. In this particular stage, you know, the aging family, they've retired. The family, the couple have become grandparents. They have children, and then now many of the parents now start relocating to be near their children because their children need to look after, you know, the grandchildren. So that's physically look after them, or from a remote, you know, some of them have what you say virtual grandparenting going on because children are elsewhere. Their grandparents get to see their grandchildren very, very less. All these aspects also they're very interesting dynamics. They add interesting dynamics in the family. So we need to think of all these things also. So here, getting ready for retirement at all levels, physical, financial, mental, etc., and deciding about the place to stay. You know, where are we going to stay? Are we going to settle here, or are we going to settle elsewhere? I know someone whose you know, parents had to really relocate and come and live with the family, their family. I mean, their daughter's family, because the daughter was not able to handle, you know, their children. So, or they would want to be like closer to their children because, you know, they may have their own physical needs during old age, and for which they will require their children to come and they're at arm's length. So these kind of things needs to be dealt with. They do talk about it, some of them, and adjust to post-retirement period. This is very important. That is the issue that I was talking about. No, after retirement, the man will just sitting and trying out. I remember somebody saying, you know, he's trying to try out chutneys and pickles, and then really doesn't know what to do, and then wasting all these resources, which the wife gets very angry about. And you know, for many of the women, the kitchen is their space. So for very old couple, then it becomes very difficult. For a younger couple, what I'm seeing, the change in the interactions or in the role allocation I'm seeing, there is more of active parenting and active caregiver role from the husbands as well. So throughout this, you must remember this allocation also is very important. Balancing this allocation and having the understanding is also very important. Here, this retirement, post-retirement period of not just the person who retired, but the person who has not been working also has to be able to now adjust to seeing her husband or his wife for now 24 hours, which was not there before. So, you know, many issues can come up during this time. It could be positive, it could be negative. So adjustments towards that needs to be also handled. Find ways of occupying self, because you do not have active parenting, but now probably many of them here say, you know what, we are grandparents, but we are carrying out the role of parents, which can be very difficult for them Like I have seen grandparents who are looking after a 1.5-year-old child who's running and galloping up around, and the 65-year-old has to keep running behind the child, which can be very emotionally tiring. Though it is a very otherwise physically tiring, though emotionally it could be exhilarating. So making those changes becomes a very, very important task here, and adapting to changing health status and maintaining a meaningful interdependent relationship with spouse and children. This is also one of the tasks. So how do we intervene here is, okay, this is aging family. Remember, it is also death of a spouse. So it is important to deal with the spouse's death or impending death. Many of them, may have terminal illnesses, which that the person is in the last stages of this thing, and you have children. People who have lost their spouse after a long time. They're also not only losing their spouse, they're losing their other network. Especially when you talk about the middle-aged families, they're the sandwich families. They are between the younger generation and the older generation. So balancing that is one major aspect for them. So carrying out this is very. You need to understand that this, to have a meaningful relationship here, and accepting death or the possibility of death is very important. I always remember this one very nice, very what do you say, very, very impressive impressing old man, young old man, I would say, who I met, and I had a question in my questionnaire when I asked about death and dying. So he said, you know what, I have taken the passport. I'm just waiting for the visa. So I'm all right. I'm okay with it. That's his way of telling me beautifully that I'm ready. This is my age. I'm 80 years old. So I'm okay with it. I'm just waiting for it. So, that is the highest level of contentment certain people reach. Here, we need to look at...
and we are nearing time.
Yeah. 5 minutes. I have... It's 19:27, 7:22. So just 2-3 minutes more. Alternative aid, use of time, dealing with all these physical changes, grief counseling. This is very important during this stage, and grief counseling can also be a part of other stages if there's been unexpected loss of a family member. Dealing with dementia, caregiving with dementia, which is very common during this stage. This is another area of intervention. So at every stage, adjusting to newer roles is one major intervention. Promoting enrichment programs for smoother transition. I'm just stitching things together, okay? Preparing through family education, life skills training, and parenting training, and relationship, dealing with relationships, and dealing with altered progress of life cycles changes in the event of death and divorce is a major aspect here. Marital and family therapies to help families deal with transition. Workshops can be done for life skills training for children and teens to actually help them in the transition phases. Workshops on midlife issues and aging issues could also be very useful. Age-related problems, on educating the younger generation on the needs of the older generation, and the expected mental health issues can be also part of the programs that we can think of. And understand that social work can work with groups, communities to facilitate this contribution of individuals to the growth of the family and the family to the growth of the civil society. So this is what it's in a nutshell. I'm not going to go line by line. This you will get if you look at Olson and Dufresne's book on marriage and family, strength and diversity. Please look at this book on page number 18. That is by heart for me, that particular page. You go to that page, you will get this wonderful, summary of the stages and the developmental tasks. So some of them I've taken from this, as I said, some of them I've put it in as my own, from my own experiences. These are some of the references. References are not in the current APA format. It was a last minute addition, so I just kind of put in, I didn't have time. Okay, thank you.